So I'm gonna give a quick rundown of this new tier list that I made since the last one. It was kind of really bad. I made a lot of mistakes, and I think I should fix those. So I'm gonna do that real quick. And a new tier list with the new killer, which she isn't really new, but well, she is, but she's been in the game for a while now. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm getting into it now. First we have the Spirit. She's a really strong killer. She isn't add-on reliant, but her add-ons make her insane. Without add-ons, I would probably say A plus or A, but with add-ons, all things considered, I'm putting her S because she can have insane chase potential at the cost of map presence, kind of, and she can have map presence at the cost of her lethality, and that's good and bad, but you really only have to wait 15, 16, 20 seconds. I think it might be 16 seconds to get your power back, and then you have really good chase or map presence. So it she's really good in 1v4, but sometimes she's not good in 1v1, but she's not always the best in 1v4, which is why I might consider putting her A, but for now she's S. We have Huntress. I'm putting her B+. I feel like Huntress has really fallen out. I feel like she's been consistently put in the A tier by a lot of people in old tier list videos that I watched, and even lists that I would make. But now I'm putting her B+, and sometimes I consider putting her B just because certain maps you just can't throw over anymore, the loops, and it's kind of annoying. The newer maps, you just don't throw over them. You can't really throw over the loops. I mean, some of them, of course. Her long range potential is just getting worse on some maps, and the hitboxes for items, and I don't know. She just feels like she's doing less than she used to be able to do. I just feel like I can, because I know how to play Huntress pretty well. Sometimes, and I feel like certain like old loops that you could throw over, you just can't now sometimes. Like auto haven wreckers, they've made some of the loops taller, and that really hurts Huntress. Next is Freddy. He's A tier. I'm gonna quickly explain why he's A tier. Um, First off, he excels in almost all categories. The only reason why he's not S is because he isn't uncounterable like Spirit and Nurse. Freddy, you throw down pallets, and he can't get you. He can't teleport. You know what he's doing, and that's the only reason why he's not there. His insane map presence with his ability, but it has a cooldown, which is the problem. Lethality with the snares, and slight detection with the snares too. I want to point that out. It has. I've played Freddy maybe 10 times, and I've gotten some use. I don't play Freddy much. I think he's a really disgusting killer, and I can't wait for his nerf. And yeah, he has slowdown in the form of his sleep, because survivors will wake up and wake themselves up, and yeah. Executioner, I'm putting him B+, but now behind Huntress. I feel like he was stronger, but he just feels less stronger now that survivors know how to play against him more. They did nerf him a bit after it came out too, right? They made it so you can't see the cages anymore. They reduced the cooldown for missing, but now you can't attack after you pull out your sword as soon. So there's a bit of counterplay there. You can break line of sight from a pallet and then double back and pallet, kind of like you do with Huntress. But Huntress's power feels more reliable since you can flip. Okay, I'm going into the twins now. B. Twins are really good sometimes, and really bad sometimes. You can't play them like a normal killer. Just can't. It's too slow. You can't hit someone and then bring out Victor and then go get them and then bring out Charlotte and go get them and hook them. You gotta slug. That's basically how you play your slug camp. Slugging is the more ideal option, but yeah. That's it for the twins. Next I'm gonna put Dr. B. Yeah. He can. I feel like I really want to say C plus, but I feel like he's not bad though, because he does have the detection with his power and slowdown with his madness, and lethality with his shock. You can't really loop Shack as well against the Doctor. Certain tiles too, but it feels like you can still loop him. I'm not really scared when I see a Doctor versus when I see a Spirit or someone like, yeah, like a Spirit or a Nurse if the Nurse is good. Yeah, he has a place, but it's not as strong as some of the other killers up here. Ghostface next. I want to see it say, okay, it depends. If you're going up against a smart team, he's probably C plus. If you're going up against a team that doesn't have eyes, he's B. But that you can say that with every killer though. But it just depends on their awareness, with him especially. I'm gonna put him C plus just because I really feel like he's been falling out. With the rise of Sprint Burst, like I see Sprint Burst in every game, and Spine Chill's common too. With those perks, it's just hard to sneak up on people and to get them. He has lethality, and that's his one shot down, but you can run it. It's like 40 seconds, 45 seconds, something like that. Sure, that sounds like a lot, but just throw it in a couple pallets, vault a window, you're done. And he wasted all his time on you, and that's it. His stealth, sure, but his stealth, isn't that good on most maps. On some maps it is, but it's a cooldown stealth too. You can't use it that much, and yeah. I feel like he could be B, honestly, but I don't want to put him. Actually, I'll put him B because he does have a one shot. No, I'm putting him C plus. His crouch isn't even a good form of anti-loop either. It slows you down slower than the survivor, and it's very hard to actually get a good crouch off. Plague, I want to put her B plus, but at the very bottom. I probably would put her B. But I just like the Plague now. I've been playing her, and she feels strong. Problem is, some matches you get her, and she's like C. You play her, and she's like C. With Thanatophobia, she's probably B plus in my opinion if they don't cleanse, because it kind of makes them want to cleanse more, or else they're spending 16 extra seconds on a gen each, and that's actually pretty huge for you, especially if you're bringing pop. Gives you more time to get there. With her power, she's probably S. The fact that you have a fountain now at the start is really good. If it spawns in the middle, you can get some insane value. I can get 2-3 downs with one fountain as Plague. If you run like Infectious Sprite, you could even always get that. I mean, you will get a down when you use your fountain if you think if you know the general area of a survivor. It's just so strong you don't really loop it. Yeah, that's about it for Plague. Blight, he's A. I misjudged Blight. Okay. When I played him in the PTB and he just didn't feel good in the PTB. When he came out, I didn't really play him much, and I did play him in the PTB, and he kind of sucked in the PTB. Not gonna lie, but now he's insane, and plus I was really bad at him in the PTB. Now he just feels insane. Even I know he's insane, and I've only played him a couple times on PS4, and he feels insane. Um, Overall, I think the Blight is really strong. He has insane mobility and lethality, but um, unlike the Spirit, his doesn't come at as much as a cost because his tokens come back so fast. But unlike the Spirit, he has select counterplay in some forms, but you can break a pallet with your charging them on, which I feel like he's better than Freddy, but I don't know if he's S because he does have counterplay. Yeah, that's about it for him. I want to put Hag in A tier. Some people say Hag is S, some people say Hag is down here, but I honestly think she's really high. If you go up against a team that does the right thing and follows you around, they dedicate a survivor to disrupt you while you're placing traps, then you're probably going to lose and you're probably going to be down here. But for the most part, if you get a decent setup, you can corrupt intervention. Hag is up here. She's really good for the most part. If you set up, I mean, you even see her played in, I've seen her played in some of Hex's tournaments, and at the end, of course, it's only Spirit and Nurse, but she was played at the middle levels of it. I mean, she has very insane potential. She can sometimes be up here, even here. But for the most part, I feel like she does have a counter, and that is unlike the two killers that are S tier, which I'm just going to bring her up here. Nurse, she has no counterplay if you're really good with her. She does have counterplay. I'm going to lie. I'm not going to lie. She has the light counterplay, but you play on a different way. The counterplay for Nurse isn't your normal counterplay. It's basically hold W and weave in between objects. And it can work against nurses that are even good, but eventually they'll catch on. And she just has too good mobility and lethality to be considered to be anything other than the best killer in the game. Sure, they nerfed her a while back, removing her insane add-ons, because she had, with her add-ons, before she would be SSSSSSS. She had insane add-ons. She could have an extra blink at the cost of nothing and range at the cost of nothing. I mean, it's insane. An extra blink in range, just there's no countering it. You're all the way up here. You're just insane. But now she has a cooldown in between her things, which will catch you. I mean, you can't blink and then just be right back on them without certain add-ons. You have to wait a bit, and that reduces her 1v4 a bit and 1v1 a tiny bit. But her 1v1 is still the strongest in the game, in my opinion. Besides maybe Plague with her Pukey, but that can still be countered. You just kind of weave. It depends. Michael, I am gonna say Michael happens to be C plus, but I think Ghostface is better than him, because Ghostface, his stealth can be used whenever. Michael just has no stealth outside of tier 1. His tier 2 with Monitor and Dead Rabbit, maybe you won't ever really hear him coming, but without those, he still has a terror. You still know he's coming. He still has a red stain. Yeah. Michael is just I don't think he's that good in my opinion. His one shot only lasts for a minute, and he vaults faster when he's in tier 3, and that's after wasting your time staring at survivors for a very long time, and that's bad. Very bad 1v1, decent 1v4 with his power, but it's not enough. Billy next. I really think Billy's like the picture perfect balance killer. He's like the role model for balance. He has skill. He has a very high skill cap, but he's not the hardest to learn either. He can do insane stuff, but he's quite simple. He has mobility, lethality, at the cost of some skill and some not skill. You can use his chainsaw if you're bad, uh, and you can use the mobility if you're bad. He's good, but ever since the nerf, his add-ons just are all terrible. All of his add-ons are just really bad compared to even some of the mediocre add-ons that he used to have. So he might be B plus, but I'm gonna say B just because you can loop him. Doesn't have much to stop you in a loop. Bubba, I want to put him on top of C plus. He just doesn't feel. I feel like some people think he's a lot better, but I don't think he is. His chainsaw is more reliable. Actually, you know what? I'll put him B. Bottom of B though. His chainsaw's a bit more reliable, but it's not as good. It's not as good as some of the other killer's powers I meant. It's just not. That's all he has to is his chainsaw, which is a one shot. But unless you catch a survivor in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to get to use it as much. You can use it around certain loops, but it's very unlikely that it'll actually work if the survivor's not a forehead. Sprint burst, huge counter to him. Spine chill, you can know he's coming, get into a good position. It's just yeah. Demogorgon C plus, probably above Michael, but below Ghostface. He does have mobility. He has a bit of slowdown if they decide to do his portals, and he has lethality. His shred can be good. It can zone for free. It can really make certain loops like Shack unplayable if you play it right. Yeah, that's about it for demo. He's strong. Oni, I feel like he's really good. I think people underestimate Oni because he has to get the first hits, but all you actually need is one and just get the survivor to vault a couple times. Then you have your power. What's in his power? He is best killer he's the best killer in the game probably. But without it, he's just M1. But you don't after you get the first couple of hits, you're not gonna not have your power most of the game. You're gonna have your power most of the game, and that's how it goes. Very rarely as Oni will I not get my power early. I bring monitor and abuse. I can get that early hit easier, and I bring monitor and infectious. Basically, you can get that hit earlier, and when you're in your super strong power, you can get more use out of it. Next is Legion. I think Legion is see. All his power is you basically injure people and deep win them. Bit of stall, bit of lethality, really. Not really, actually. I mean, yeah, he's not very good. I don't really know what to say about him. I mean, he's not good. Against foreheads, he might be, but against optimal survivors, no. DeathSlinger, I rated him kind of harshly. I put him D, and some people I feel like can agree with that, because he doesn't seem that good. He has terrible 1v4, but his 1v1 is just so good that I can't ignore it, so I'm going to put him above Ghostface. I feel like he actually isn't that bad. I've really misjudged him. He's really good. He doesn't have much counterplay, too. You can throw it on pallets, but then he injures and breaks you if you're not already broken. Injured and deep wounds you. Yeah, that's kind of him. He might be able, if you're really, really good, then he might be B, but I don't think he can compete with any of these killers. Actually, you know what? He's probably better than Bubba. I'm gonna put Bubba there, and him there, and him there. Yeah, I'm gonna change it around a little bit because really don't think Michael's good. Okay, next we have D tier, and all these killers I put them in the order they are because they are all D tier in my opinion. Clown might be able to move up to C, but I don't think so. His buff wasn't enough. Sure, he reloads faster, but his gas, it's situationally useful. There are times where you can really use that controlled boost of movement speed, but it's only 10%, mind you. It's not very good. And he has certain add-ons that makes it decent, like actually really good, like the cigar box. That's insane. I mean, you just know where everyone is at all times, and you're fast, so you can get them, and they won't be able to really loop you. You get the first free hit, and you have your bottles. So yeah, with that, he's pretty good. It might be even C plus, but without it, he's not. Trapper, he has to set up. That's his main problem, and he doesn't have his power like Hag does. She doesn't have to collect their traps. She can just set it down. Yep, Trapper's bad. Pig, her only thing going for her is the bear traps. Really, her dash, like I feel like people are learning how to play around it now more. You make distance or you position yourself smartly on a loop. That's basically it. It's really hard to get hit by that. if you position yourself well, because um, I don't know. It's Pig's just weak. Her traps, sure, if you get one on the survivor, they take it off in a bit. Sure, they're not doing anything, but you're not doing anything either. You don't have good mobility. Your stealth is at the cost of mobility. I mean, Pig isn't good. She's so easy to loop. Yeah. And Wraith. Poor Wraith. He did receive a little buff, but it didn't really do anything for him. He's still really bad. He might these tiers don't really these tiers especially don't really pay attention to the order of them. Maybe these two, because I didn't really care as much about them. They're just bad killers, especially here. They're just bad killers. Yeah, Wraith, it has nothing in chase. He has very little map control. He might have good map presence, but little map control, because he's a bit more than your average killer because he's faster in his cloak, but not by much. And if you're not rocking Windstorm, then you're not gonna do anything as Wraith. But overall, I think that concludes the tier list. Of course, you have Nurse as the best killer, and one of these three actually as the worst killer. All these killers are really strong. I feel like you could probably give a couple steps down to some of the people in here, one or two maybe steps down, not like tiers down. But yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty accurate tier list. I mean, you don't see many people arguing with the fact that Nurse is the best and these three killers are the worst. Maybe Clown is the worst, but I don't know if he's anymore. These two killers are really good. These are really bad, and in between, it's kind of iffy. You can't really say that. I feel like Blight is really good, and I feel like Michael is really bad. Some people might say Michael is really good, but it's all an opinion, really. Besides, Nurse is the best, and these killers are the worst because they don't have much going for them. Other than that, it's an opinion, really. Nurse is the best. There's no arguing with that, or there really shouldn't be any arguing. But other than that, yeah. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And remember, this is an opinion, except for Nurse is the best. I